Tulsi exposes the government's original sin that unelected officials interfered with the democratic process in 2016. Blaze News The Mandate starts right now. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Jill Savage, joined as always by Editor-in-Chief Matthew Peterson.
It's a bread and butter day. Cory Mills saga plus Russiagate. This is a good one.
There's going to be a lot to get to. Let's go ahead and bring in our DC politics editor, Chris Bedford, as well. How's it going, Chris?
Well, now I'm hungry, thinking about bread and butter. Dinner time, right?
That's all I want too. Some bread and butter. But first of all, if you're the State Department right now and you're the intel community, you might have to be eating your vegetables because people are asking, is it time to revoke President Obama's passport? Obama not only knew that the claim that Russia hacked, the 2016 election, that was false, but his administration actively manufactured intelligence to construct the entire Russia narrative.
In the months leading up to the 2016 election, the intelligence community assessed, and this is what the documents detail, the intelligence community assessed essentially Russia doesn't have the tools, the capability, or the intent to try to change the outcome of the U.S. presidential election.
D&I Gabbard dropped the declassified documents on Friday. So are the House elites crumbling right now? Is it finally going to be the time, Matt, that they actually have to go through and eat some of their vegetables?
Well, they better. I mean, this is the core. This is the original sin of the deep state over the last 10 years. Over the last decade, at the heart of everything that's happened to Trump is this Russiagate scandal. And it all began before the election even happened. And so what Tulsi has done, I mean, a lot of people saying, well, there's nothing new here. We already know this. And it's true. We already know what happened. But this needs to be proven and people need to be held to account. And if they don't hold people to account, this is all for nothing. The win is all for nothing. This is their original sin. This is at the heart of how they tried to take down a presidency. So what's new about this is that you really have a bird's eye human view of a whistleblower who, before the election, knows that Russia is not going to be able to accomplish anything. After the election is part of the report in which they say, we assess that Russian and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities against election infrastructure. That's the summary of the report a month after the election. And what happens is that report is contradicted all of a sudden out of the blue by the FBI, by Comey's FBI, which says, oh no, we disagree with this. Obama holds a meeting with all the main characters, and then they go and they issue something else, which says that Russia was involved. The Washington Post, drops an op-ed based on it. They're colluding with the press, and that's what Russia collusion actually was, right? It was intelligence officials and the Obama White House colluding with the press to present a narrative that, in fact, the intelligence community knew was false. And the other aspect of this that's new is that the same whistleblower is then shocked to find out after FOIAing a few years later that the Steele dossier is wrapped up in all this, which, this person heard, and senior intelligence officials say was a load of garbage. And, they were shocked by this. So it sounds like, a person who actually was trying to do their job, and it's a good inside look and inside track on what actually happened.
Chris, I'm old enough to remember that, when Hillary Clinton, she was going out there on TV and she was saying, oh, the 17 different intel agents. And then you had Barack Obama repeating the same thing. Susan Rice, saying the same thing. They were going on TV all the time, making sure that, do you not believe what the intel is actually saying? Well, we know now, and we knew. A lot of people in this audience, this isn't new to them. But now we have the definitive document saying what we thought is actually true.
Yeah, that is one of the maddening parts about all of this, is it was always kind of obvious that this was the case. I mean, I remember getting arguments with reporters and people in the intelligence community 8 years ago about this subject, and they were saying, Russia influenced the elections. I said, how? How do they definitively influence the elections? They said they issued Facebook memes. That's a stupid theory. That's a dumb theory from the start. I challenged one editor, a politics editor, who's at Business Insider. So which meme do you think shifted the election? Which was it? He said, well, what about the Pope endorses Donald Trump? I said, listen, guy, anyone who cares about the Pope's endorsements probably not voting for the abortion candidate anyways. So that's not really actually changing the results of anything. And the second thing that was painfully clear from the very beginning amidst all these accusations of democracies being destabilized and trust in institutions is being undermined. It was exactly what the press and the Democrats were doing. The Russians could have spent another $10 million on a meme farm out of Moscow or bots to like posts on Facebook or Twitter without influencing anything. But what actually spread distrust and dislike between neighbors and started to cause this trouble in the United States and really continued to further the decline of our trust in our institutions, very deservedly so, by the way, was the press and the Democrats' reaction. And that was even before we knew it was fake. That was just even assuming that it was real, this absolute panicked outrage, which was completely false. So now we have the documents. Now, we'd long theorized that Brennan had played an active role and lied about this. We'd known that the director of the FBI had done the same. We knew that we really strongly suspected that President Barack Obama was in charge of this whole operation and was involved not just a passenger on the plane. But now we know. Now we have the conversations. Now we have the meetings. Now we have the notes. Now we have the emails. Now it's all laid bare that these people not only told a stupid lie and insisted on it and tried to take down a U.S. president with it, but now they've actually been caught because they did it intentionally. They did it wholeheartedly. They wrote it down. They have the records. We have the whistleblowers. There were the reports. They pushed those away. And this is a great day, and I actually love that she said she was going to do this on Friday, but today she actually, Tulsi Gabbard, officially filed these documents with the Department of Justice to look at actually pursuing a case.
Yeah, and we should note Steve Baker will be on the show later, and this was not a distraction from the Epstein files or anything like that. We'll have an article coming out that Odie and I has been on this for a while. Tulsi has been planning on doing this. This is part of her job and her checklist of things that she's doing. One thing that really I think is telling about this is that over the course of the last 10 years, I have never heard anyone really try to defend any of this stuff when it comes to the facts as to what happened with the intelligence reports, with the Steele dossier, et cetera. What you end up having in the media and both with Obama era officials and Comey and these people is just pure denial. I mean, they remain in the lie. They don't even have a good excuse. It's not like, well, mistakes were made or you're misinterpreting what we were doing. They really just sit in it. Like they don't have a response to the truth because it's so obvious what's going on, which is why the media doesn't want to report on this now. Because there is no response. There's not like mistakes were made. There's not like we're actually meeting about this and this is what was really going on. They have to sit in it and say, oh no, this was real in some way, and that is fabrication. That's just false. And it's very interesting that you don't really hear excuses when it comes to Russiagate. You either hear silence or denial.
Chris, all the news that's fit to print. A15 you have to go through to the New York Times to see it. The Washington Post doesn't have it. And then even if you want to go through and look at like another huge story that is breaking right now is the AutoPen story, right? Mike Howell, Oversight Project. We talk about it all the time here on this show. That has gotten 34 seconds on NBC. That's it. That came out from the Media Research Center. That's it. So if you want the actual news, what's going on right now is one of the biggest stories that we've ever seen, and the legacy media will not touch it.
Yeah, of course they won't. Just like they won't touch the border. That's how you get 23% of American people who think that border enforcement's gotten worse under Trump, which is just a fact and it's wrong. Or that small amount that think that nothing's changed, which is also just factually wrong. You get that from alternative coverage. And by alternative, I mean either lies or completely just not sharing the news. Actually kind of pushing it down and saying, our readers don't want to hear about this. They're not going to know about this. They're not going to be enlightened by this. Worse, it's going to spread hate, or they're trying to control that information. And this fits in with a long narrative, a long arc of the similar stories. I mean, if you were to watch the morning network shows in the lead up to the Biden-Trump election, you wouldn't have known about the laptop scandal. If you listen to NPR News and they like to issue their weekly NPR News quizzes, you wouldn't have heard about it. You would have felt all smart and smug and self-satisfied getting a good score because you listened to all the NPR broadcasts, and you wouldn't know some of the most important aspects that were going on and in that race because they were intentionally hidden from view. That's not even, you don't see that as the case on conservative media or more independent media. you see hard questions actually tackled. You see things pushed. You'll see people asking the questions about the administration and trying to speak truth to power. You don't see that amongst Democrats. And I remember when Trump was first elected in 27 came to office in 2017. My assumption at the Daily Caller was that we were going to a lot of the people at the New York Times and the Washington Post and Political and other places were going to have to play in the sandbox that now we were creating because we had access to the administration officials. We were getting exclusive interviews with the President of the United States, with the Vice President. We were getting exclusive access to the White House. We were breaking news all the time. They can't ignore it. They might not like it, but if we're the source, then they have to start to get that out there. We thought it would be a really interesting age in media as kind of like a commingling. Because for the 8 years prior, President Barack Obama had been in charge. And before that, it was George W. Bush with National Review and the Weekly Standard. Everything had changed. This is the first time. And I was amazed at just the wall of silence, the Cold War mentality that they instead insisted on, where you could have major breaking story coming out of what the president is doing, and there would be crickets from so much of the Beltway media and the Manhattan media because they decided that this was not something they wanted to work with. They were fine just keeping their readers they would rather keep their readers in the dark than even try to give up a little bit of control. And the irony in all of this over the last 10, 15 years has been that their trust and their power has corroded, not simply because of the good work that we're doing, but because of the terrible work that they're doing. And you see, when you have places like the Washington Post lose millions and millions of dollars in subscribers because they decide not to endorse the Democrat nominee, that they're just right now they've assembled an audience that is largely a choir, just people who just want to hear things that make them feel better. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want to be pushed out of their comfort zone, and they definitely don't want to hear that St. Barack Obama may have done a bad thing.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton was supposed to win in 2016. Donald Trump was never supposed to win. And you look at where we are right now, right? The show is called The Mandate. We are trying to go through and make sure that Donald Trump's agenda actually gets put through. But the other half of the show, Matt, is to make sure that we expose the deep state, because this period of time is so crucial for the continuation of this country. We're getting ready for America 250. If we want to celebrate anything else beyond what we have this presidency, this point in time is so critical right now.
Yeah, this is why this story is so important, because it goes to the heart of the problem. You know, the heart of the problem is that you are being ruled by people who are not elected. That the real insurrection, the real overturning of democracy was what the Obama administration did at its end to destroy another presidency with lies and deceit from within. And people like Comey were part of this, right? The idea was, no, we remain in charge. Trump should not have won. He was not supposed to have won. And we are going to remain in charge by putting out outright lies and colluding with the media to destroy this man's presidency and thwart the will of the people and thwart the mandate that he was given by them. That's what happened. And that's why justice is so important in this case, because if you have agencies and people who remain past democratically elected leaders throughout election after election, and they decide what the policy of the United States is, and they are the ones who remain in control, then you don't live in a democracy. You don't live in a republic. The Republican form of government demands that we actually are able to change out the people who rule us. It's why the Friday interview with R.J. Pestrito from Hillsdale was so important, talking about how if you're not in charge, if the president isn't in charge and can't fire people, then who's really in charge? Well, the people who can't be fired. And in this case, yeah, they all need to be fired, but they need to be prosecuted. And from our lips to God's ears, we hope that happens.
Chris, I think that one of the biggest mistakes that the deep state was making is that they went through and they put DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, before she was DNI, on a watch list. They are weaponizing her against the government. Now she has the power. Now she's like, hey, guess what? Now that I can declassify all these documents, guess what? There's going to be more coming.
And isn't it wild that she was a Democrat just a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, she was always a little bit of a different Democrat. She walked maybe a little more libertarian streak than a lot of the Dems. She didn't get down with the woke stuff. But I do remember when she was fairly new in office and she ran on being a veteran, that we reached out to her to do a video with other lawmakers who were part of that freshman class who were all military veterans. like a Nerf gun fight sort of thing. And the office was trying to downplay it. They said, that's not the direction we're going in right now. We want to hide the fact that she ran on being a veteran. Those are the staff she was involved with. But this was the person that she was. And I don't think this was always the person she was. Like many people in America, she had that character about her that was questioning authority and thought what a good Democrat ought to actually believed what they thought Democrats ought to believe, but then was confronted and mugged by reality. And that watch list was just something that pushed them over. And, we learned also today from Chairman Chuck Grassley about some of the new, the campaign at the Department of Justice to really take down what was to protect the Hillary Clinton campaign. When they had that famous press conference, of course, the director comes out and says, listen, we're going to launch an investigation. And then another press conference, which broke all DOJ protocol, that said, we're closing the investigation, even though she's a really bad person, but we're not going to give her the opportunity to defend herself in court from that charge. But now it comes out from this that the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, was meeting with the Democrats' campaign to say, hey, don't worry, we're going to protect you on this. We're not going to go after you. And when the FBI sent Agent Andrew McCabe, the corrupt agent, the Democrat agent, when they sent him to go ask her about it, in his report, he's like, it was really weird. She didn't deny it. Kind of thought that you would deny doing something like that when you're the Attorney General, but she did not. And that was coming from McCabe. So then they go back, and it turns out they didn't investigate the thumb drive. They didn't investigate anywhere the confidential files actually were, and they didn't investigate the Attorney General for leaking to the Democratic Party nominee to try and defeat the Republican. I mean, we're in President Johnson level corruption and weaponization of the DOJ. We're under J. Edgar Hoover sort of stuff here. It's completely wild to see. And more so, it's really fun to actually see this coming out in real time with people who may actually want to prosecute it.
Yeah, and that's my final quick question to everyone here. I mean, the sad reality is we haven't seen a lot of prosecutions. Some would say any, and no one does get in trouble. Now, I think it's a good thing that if this is, made clear to the American people, this comes from Obama all the way down. They didn't go after Clinton on purpose. Yeah, the Attorney General's meeting with her. Obama destroys the Trump presidency. That's all well and good, and that's a good thing. But what do we think the chances are of actual prosecutions happening here?
Chris, I'll let you go first.
I don't think you're going to see President Barack Obama prosecuted. I don't. You see calls going out on Twitter right now to take away his passport. One, where's he going to go? I mean, that'd be unseemly to take away the president's passport. But back to Kenya. Just kidding.
That's what I was going to say. Kenya sounds beautiful right?
Trump knows where.
Trump knows where he's going. The original birther campaign. But oh man, wouldn't it be great? Listen, just like with the Dobbs decision, if we just constantly work at it, we shed truth on what these ugly things are. We talk about the whole thing, but we never actually expect it to get done. Then we can have that really bright morning where we wake up and just say, wow, that's great. It happened. I can't believe it. As opposed to every day being a grinding disappointment of nothing happening, which is the status quo for Washington.
All I want for Christmas are perp walks. That's it. That's going to be the entire list. I asked for it for the 4th of July. It didn't happen. So now it's going to be my Christmas wish list. Maybe by then, and if we don't see it by then, guys, it's never going to happen. But maybe by then, we can have a perp walk or two, Chris. Thanks so much. We'll catch you again tomorrow.
Maybe we can be happy.
We're going to be talking about this story all week, Bedford. We'll catch you later.
I can't wait.
All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to get into the curious case of Congressman Cory Mills. It continues right after this. Well, real quick before we jump back in, we have to talk about our ranchers because American farms are getting crushed while the grocery stores keep stocking meat from overseas. And it's easy to miss, but 85% of the grass-fed beef in stores, it's imported. That's why you need to look at goodranchers.com because it's 100% American. It's born, raised, and harvested right here on local family farms, and it tastes amazing. Summer is here in full swing, so nothing beats grilling out with your friends and family. Whether it's steaks or burgers or chicken, they even have all that wild-caught seafood. You're definitely going to taste the difference, and you'll actually be supporting real American ranchers with every box. So right now, they're running a crazy deal. So when you subscribe, you'll get your free pick of meat for life. That's your choice of Wagyu burgers, hot dogs, bacon, or wings in every box. Just use the code Jill and they'll knock off an extra $40 off. So go to goodranchers.com, code Jill. For people that actually feed this country, go ahead and back the American ranchers. It's Good Ranchers, American meat delivered. We've promised you more on Congressman Cory Mills. Digging into any detail of his life actually leads to more questions than answers. So every article that we've put out so far is so in-depth, we felt like we needed to simplify things. So here to help unpack the definitive list of Cory Mills stories so far is Blaze News investigative reporter Steve Baker. Steve, it's not boring, right? When we work on this story, it's never boring.
It's never boring. And I'm going to be honest. There's no joy in us taking down a GOP congressman or official of any kind. We don't derive joy from that. But if there are gifts that are not packaged in the holiday season of joy, and this is a gift that just keeps on giving. So we are going to continue giving it back to the public so that they know what's going on.
Well, it's important to go through and tell people what's actually happening with a member of Congress because, Matt, the whole thing started off with a marriage certificate when I came over to your house one Sunday afternoon in March and I said, something's not right here. There's a radical Muslim, Mohammed al-Hanouti, who is a mufti who ended up marrying one of the GOP congressmen. And I don't know about that, but something's not right here.
Look, I'll be honest here. I do take joy in taking down bad people. I do take a lot of joy in it. But you're right. We don't do this with willy-nilly. So in my head, this year as a goal was if there are egregiously bad actors on the right now that we've won, we need to clean house on our own side. And then Jill showed up to my house with this bizarre story, looking like the crazy meme with all these photocopies. And I looked at it and thought, if that's true, if he really was married and no one has reported this in the most radical mosque in America, that bears looking into, especially because he started an international arms company with his wife right afterwards, which got some dubious contracts from Iraq right away with no capital or where'd the capital come from. None of them are independently wealthy, supposedly. So in any event, this all starts with the line number one, which was him saying, reports that he was married at a Virginia mosque by a radical Islamic cleric are false and misleading.
You put that on X recently.
Yes, these are false and misleading reports. What's false about a marriage certificate? Remember, we just asked him two simple questions. Right. We wanted to know about his religious journey. Congressman, what religion are you? And is this the person who officiated your wedding? This radical cleric who is an unindicted co-conspirator in the first World Trade Center bombing and a lot more besides, raising money for radical Muslims. And the answer, of course, to both those questions is, well, he says he's not a Muslim, but people said he did convert at the time, at least 5 people we've talked to. And you had to convert, according to many experts in radical Islam. So it's a very weird thing. And then he also claimed, I would regard this as a lie too, that this was somehow a hit piece because we were asking him these questions. We hadn't even written anything yet. He said it was a hit piece because we asked who married him and what religion he was. I mean, you can't make this up.
No, you will be able to get this definitive list at theblaze.com. I should mention that you can follow along with all of us. But Steve, he not only, he says that he's not Muslim, he says that he's Christian. Right. But within that, there are also more questions because in a 2022 article in the Floridian, he claims to be a Catholic. However, he launched his election campaign out of a Word of Faith pastor's home in 2021. So there is even more. Even if you're on the Christianity side, there's still more that is overlapping. Like, are you then a Catholic? Are you Protestant? Are you a Muslim? What's happening?
Yeah, well, first of all, there is the contradiction between his alleged Catholicism and then this pronouncement that he attends a church in the Orlando area, which is it's actually called Word of Faith, and this particular church comes from that stream of evangelical Protestantism, which is the prosperity movement. The name it, claim it movement. And that's where he says that he goes to church. That's what he told our own Blaze reporter, where he attends church, and that these pastors, Cheryl and Steve Ingram, are his pastors. Well, I visited the church, and I visited the pastors, and I can tell you firsthand that they deny that claim. Now, they say that they're flattered by the fact that a prominently known Captain America GOP congressman is talking about their relationship together. But the only thing that he has done is he's only attended their church twice in 4 years since he launched his campaign in 2021. And they also say we do not have any type of pastoral or spiritual advisor role over him.
Yeah, we're going to move on to lie number 3 now, which is where it really all began. It didn't begin actually with the marriage certificate. It began with him telling me on a helicopter ride in Western North Carolina that he was completely single. There was absolutely no one in his life, and he is very lonely. If you've been watching, if you've been following along, you've already heard this one. So I think that we can go ahead and put that one to rest. There might be more on that in an upcoming article. Stay tuned. You'll enjoy it. I will not. It'll be terrible. I don't like talking about it, but it's there either way. So let's go ahead and move on to lie number 4, which is the non-Rangers don't lead the way, where Cory Mills claimed to be an Army Ranger, Matt. And I believe that people that were there when he was serving in Dying Corps over in Iraq, they didn't have any Army Rangers at the first station that they were in. The first city that they were in, none. So Cory could go through and say, I'm an Army Ranger. And then they get transferred to a different city, and there were 5 Army Rangers, and they start asking him all of the questions of, hey, here's our Ranger language. Where'd you do this? Who'd you do that with? And he couldn't answer any of them.
Yeah, my favorite part of this is Jesse Parks, his supervisor, said he witnessed a Ranger veteran and Dying Corps employee chase him down and tell him, if I hear one more time that you have said you're a Ranger, I'm going to beat your ass within an inch of your life and send you home on a medical flight. So I guess he had to stop claiming that. But this is a recurring theme among many of his compadres from his days when he was, overseas.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and get to when he was overseas. This is one of the biggest ones, I think, you guys, because this is central to Cory Mills and his campaign. He was going through and he's saying, I'm a great businessman. I served in the Army. I'm a veteran. And I was blown up twice in Iraq. Let's go ahead and watch this video, SOT 3.
Serving as a member of the Joint Special Operations Command in the 82nd Airborne Division. I deployed multiple times and spent more than 7 years in Iraq, 2 years in Afghanistan, and was awarded the Bronze Star for my actions. I was hit not once, but twice with improvised explosive devices and explosive form projectiles. After you take a hit like that, you don't know if you're going to survive or not.
That's not true. He was not blown up twice in Iraq. We have talked to people that served with him that said, okay, he was in the first one, but not in the second one. His vehicle was actually still like around the corner. He was not involved in that second IED explosion. And then Cory Mills himself admitted that to our reporter Peter Giedel in a 50-minute phone conversation that he had with him and said, oh, I got a concussion in the first one, but you weren't in the second one? And he said, no, that's correct. I was not in the second one, Steve.
Well, real quickly, let's go back to the Ranger comment just for a moment. And it all ties in because it's all a pattern of the lies. One of the things when he was called out on his claim of being in the 75th Regiment of the Rangers, he claimed that, that was a top secret classified regiment. And at that very moment, the Dying Corps guys knew he was full of crap. And that's the long and the short of that. Then we get to this other part about being blown up by an IED. Actually, what he admitted to our own Blaze reporter, Peter Giedel, was, no, that's right, I really wasn't blown up. I actually bounced off of a window. And he tried to conflate that story, even saying that he had a major concussion event. But what actually happened was the medic on site took him off duty for 24 hours just for observation.
Yeah, and that goes to the next one too, where he claimed he was a sniper, and the Dying Corps guys realized he was not, and he in order to qualify for a course at Dying Corps, he had to have sniper credentials before. I don't know what it is about snipers. I think it must be like a video game thing of the last 20, 30 years, like why you get these guys who claimed they're snipers when they're not. But that he completed the course with Dying Corps, but he lied his way into it, which is also demonstrated by the fact that he left Dying Corps, just walked out as soon as they asked for proof of all the credentials that he supposedly had.
One of the things about the sniper camaraderie among that group is the fact that they do have their own language. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a sniper. I never knew about that particular language until we actually got on the July 13th assassination attempt in Butler, PA, because our sources were sniper trainers, and I began to learn about the special language that they speak. And unfortunately for Cory, he didn't know the language. And again, he was once again outed for his exaggerations, we'll call them.
Yes, we will call them the exaggerations. We will finish off the rest of the top 10 list right after this. Don't go anywhere. Well, President Trump has been sworn in. His administration has made a lot of progress. We see that, and it's all happening very quickly. But they're focused on restoring America. They can't protect your personal savings. That's still your responsibility. So one of the smartest ways to safeguard what you've worked for is through diversification, especially with gold and our trusted friends over at Birch Gold Group. Now, in the last 12 months, gold's value has increased by 40%. It keeps going up. Central banks around the world are driving demand up higher and actually buying gold in record amounts right now. So global instability and geopolitical tension, we have seen them now. They are the highest in decades. And that's why Birch Gold makes it so easy owning physical gold. You can convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA backed by real gold, or simply purchase physical gold to store in your home. Just text my name, Jill, to 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. So there's no obligation, only useful information. They have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers. So control your protected savings today. Text my name, Jill, to 989898. Let's continue with the curious case of Congressman Cory Mills. He likes to play fast and loose with the truth. This is something that we have learned over the last few months here at Blaze Media. And so let's go ahead and continue on with what we have found from Congressman Cory Mills. And the latest on this list, let's go ahead and get to this one, is the master's degree that wasn't. I can go ahead and read from Cory Mills' Wikipedia page right here, where it says that he attended Florida State College at Jacksonville, followed by a Bachelor of Science degree in Health Sciences and a Master Arts in Internal Relations and Conflict Resolution from American Military University. That's directly from his Wikipedia page. Steve, why is that wrong?
I have a copy of the email from the American Military University. It says, no, that never happened. He did not. We did not confer upon him a master's degree.
Yeah, I mean, Conservapedia, Florida Politics website also say this, so it certainly looks like someone's playing fast and loose with the truth yet again. I guess his LinkedIn page does say he was a master's candidate, but if you've ever been to graduate school, you know the candidate that means you didn't finish. So if you don't finish, you don't get the degree.
This next one is one of them that I find to be one of the most concerning of the entire list. These are some photos from Cory Mills. Now, he went over to Syria. We've documented that on the show already about his trip to Syria around Easter weekend. And he went over with Tariq Nemo and a group called the Syrian Alliance for America and Peace and Prosperity. And there were some Instagram posts that came out after this. Tariq Nemo took to Instagram and had a collaboration with Cory Mills, and Marlon Stutzman was also on there. So they all collaborated on an Instagram post together. Now, that's okay. You can put up pictures from your trip. That's fine. Except these photos were posted on April 26th. And when you look at the 5th and 6th pictures on this Instagram carousel, it's a picture of Cory Mills and Donald Trump. And then you get to the 6th photo, which is Cory Mills, Donald Trump, and Susie Wiles, his chief of staff. Now, okay, that seems fine, right? Like you're posting pictures with the current president and his chief of staff. Except those photos are not from 2025. They're not from the trip to Syria. They're from August 12th, 2023. Cory Mills was actually at the Iowa State Fair at that time. Let's go ahead and show the X photos that this actually came from, where you see the exact same photos. Guys, make this make sense, right? As Steve Deace would say, what is the benign, innocent explanation for this?
There isn't one. I mean, it's clearly he's making it look like he's going to Syria. at the behest of Donald Trump, and even that he's possibly traveling with the president, which is absolutely ridiculous. When Susie Wiles and Donald Trump were nowhere near him at the time.
No, they were trying to. He was actually, him and Tariq Naimo were trying to conflate this into being an official trip on behalf of our government, like on behalf of maybe even the State Department, which of course neither is true. This was a private trip. It was set up and organized by the Syrian American Alliance for Peace and Prosperity, which of course some of our sources have looked very close at that organization and have a lot of questionable membership of that board and the other directors.
Yeah, the questions continue when we go back into Congressman Cory Mills and his faith with the spiritual advisors. Now, we've done a lot of research on social media, as you can see from that last post that we just put up. So there's a lot out there that you can learn from social media, Steve, especially in regards to his spiritual advisors.
Yeah, and that's why I went to the church. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the segment, was that we thought that because of the weekend that it was a holiday weekend, that Mills would maybe attend his home church, the church he claims is his home church. And we learned, of course, that that's not true. The first thing that you and I were able to do were go back and look at the social media post by Pastor Cheryl Ingram. She's very prolific. Anytime there's somebody of any VIP level importance at their church, she takes a photo and she posts it.
And it's noteworthy because they don't have a very large congregation. No. Like, you can count the number of people that are in there.
Oh, yeah. No, it was that morning that I was there was about 27, 28 people in the entire congregation. And so it wasn't like I would miss him sitting in the crowd somewhere. He was not there, even though he was in town. And, of course, I did and had the opportunity to meet both of the pastors after the service and spent some time with them. And we were able to basically validate and confirm what you and I already knew from her social media posts, is that he had only ever attended that church twice. And the last time was in February of 24. So he's not a regular member of the church he claims is his church.
Yeah, and again, this is important because it shows a pattern of being reckless with the truth, and there's much more to come. When it comes. This is a guy who said he didn't have to convert in order to get married by a radical Muslim. And that's just, you got to wonder. There's more to come on this.
Well, and the story that for some reason has taken off, like it's just like the biggest part of this whole deal is your rent is late. Now, Congressman Cory Mills says that he is now paid in full. He did a walk and talk interview. But the problem was that he was under court orders of eviction. He owed $85,000 for his luxury D.C. penthouse. So, Steve, There's so many like different legalese that are going on, and especially in DC, they're very, very much more easier to deal with for the actual tenant than the landlords. Of course, DC is a liberal city. You're going to get everything as the tenant instead.
Right. Yeah, when you're talking about eviction and landlord-tenant relationships, the laws in D.C. are very favorable to the tenant. But that doesn't mean that they get to be squatters for the rest of their life, particularly in a $21,000 a month penthouse apartment. I would imagine the rules are maybe even a little bit different for a sitting member of Congress and how they will deal with him. But the reality is that this particular landlord, this ownership group that owns and manages a lot of luxury properties in D.C., they had decided to begin eviction proceedings against them all the way back in January of this year, because this was a pattern of behavior going back
17 late payments.
Right. I mean, this wasn't anything new. Late payments, skip payments, late fees. He had spent tens of thousands of dollars in late fees.
It's important to point out that, when he was confronted online, right, his response was that the website wasn't working. I'm repeatedly asking for payments links again and again. As I tried the management today, it failed. So again, it's an excuse of, the website doesn't work, when in fact the website didn't work because they were going through eviction proceedings.
Right. When I saw that excuse, and when I saw him call Roger Sullenberger a hack for pointing out, and what Roger did was actually just post the Superior Court filing for the suit for eviction.
Yeah, that's not political. I don't care who you are. I don't care if Roger used to work for the Daily Beast or not. When you're posting court documents, that's not political by nature.
No, it's not political at all. And more importantly, it was just proof that the landlord had begun those eviction proceedings. And this was what he then gave the most lame excuse. I mean, I called it the dog ate my homework excuse. It was that level of equivalency because it was so easy to show that this in and of itself was another lie, because when these landlords, these building owners, when they actually start eviction proceedings, they deliberately cut off the tenant's access to the payment portal. Why do they do that? Because legally, if they, let's say, okay, he owed $85,000, he could have gone in, if that payment portal was open, paid $1,000, and it resets the clock on the eviction proceeding.
And that would be a problem if you're trying to evict him. That would be a problem there for them. So let's go ahead and just wrap this up, Matt, because I think that it would be wise. We've discussed a lot of different times where Congressman Cory Mills has gone on X and replied. We started out with our very first story, how it was misleading. Yeah. This is false. You shouldn't do this. Well, there's a lot of things that Cory is saying that are misleading, especially on social media.
Well, yeah, just to give you all a sneak peek of what to expect next. I mean, he denied that someone named Jill Savage ever asked him out, which was a...
Reverse that. Hey. Yeah. Oh.
That would be false,
No.
actually. He denied that he ever asked Jill Savage out.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm sorry, that's
I'm
terrible.
not a feminist, but I am a traditionalist here, and I'm not going around asking men out on dates. Come on.
The point is, he said he never asked her out, which is one of the most foolish things I've ever seen anyone do on social media, and you'll find out more at theblaze.com soon. I think that one thing to zoom out here is the reason we're going through all these things, some of these can seem like small lies or smaller lies, is because there's a pattern of behavior that is alarming, and it goes a lot deeper than not paying rent. And that's why we're dwelling on this story, because no one should feel safe in Washington when they lie repeatedly about serious things as well as stupid things like not being able to pay rent.
Yeah, and we know that all politicians lie, but when you see it at this level over and over and over again, and things that are just so easy to disprove with, I don't know, maybe something on my phone so quickly that we can go through and find within minutes to disprove whatever he's saying online, we have a serious problem.
Yeah, and to further tease what's coming, we all know, we always hear this saying, is that the cover-up is always worse than the crime itself, or the sin, or the lie, and that's where we're going next.
And that's where we will end this. Steve, thanks so much.
Thank you, Jill.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more right after this. Well, let's be real. We're living in a time when telling the truth, it actually feels a little risky. All of the lies are dressed up as compassion. And if you speak honestly, they call it hate. But the media tries to sell that as tolerance. We all know better. At Blaze TV, we're not playing that game, as you can tell right now with the stories that we're covering, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's not popular, because staying silent isn't an option on this show and across Blaze Network. We're actually going beyond the headlines. We're not just reacting to the stories. We're digging into what's really going on and who's behind it. And you're not going to get that from corporate media. They've picked a side, and it's not yours. So we're here to push back with all the facts and all the conviction that we can. And it's not just about making content, it's a mission. So when you subscribe to Blaze TV, you're not just supporting conservative voices, you're actually standing with a movement that refuses to back down. It's only $8 a month when you use the code BNT. It's $20 off your yearly plan and just 26 cents a day to support the truth. Go to blazetv.com/BNT and sign up today, because the truth matters and the people in power are working overtime to shut it down. Well, so far, the DOJ has been awfully quiet after the Russiagate bombshell that dropped over the weekend. So I posted on X, good morning. Has anyone been arrested? AG Pam Bondi, hello. We are all looking at you right now. So let's go ahead and get to some of the replies. Ben Steiner starts us off saying, good morning, Jill. I haven't checked the arrest logs, but I'm pretty sure the elites are still enjoying their own separate justice system. So far, you're correct.
Yeah, so far, so not good. Ben, you are right.
And then we have another Ben on X. Who knew? This is just the day for Ben's. He answered that as well as the files are on my desk for review rollout went, I'm certain that she'll handle this well. Now, that's fair, right? The way that went down with the files that are on my desk through all of the Epstein stuff, Glenn Beck called it the worst rollout of information that he has ever seen. So that one's fair.
Yeah, and here's the problem, whether it's FBI, whether it's DOJ, where there's a will, there's a way. And what we don't want people to be, prosecuted on BS charges, but you got to ask, why is it that the left is always able to find a way to prosecute people for what they consider to be wrongdoing, but the right never seems, what would we charge them on? It's really hard to figure that out. Get creative. And also, a lot of times you get Capone on tax charges, right? You find a way where they violated something lesser, even though they did something worse, you can't get them on. And that draws attention, right? And it establishes justice in the public square and ruins their reputation for good reason. Get creative. And the problem is you need a lot of smart minds working on that sort of thing in order to do it right. And that's what we need now from DOJ and FBI.
Yeah, it is really frustrating going through because it's never a question if the leftists are going to go after the people that they don't like. We see it done over and over and over again. We see the government weaponized against conservatives so many times. And then the right gets power and we're like, we probably shouldn't go after them, right? Yeah. Hillary Clinton in the email server, Lois Lerner in the IRS. You want to spy on Catholics? You're the FBI. School parents at school board meetings. Probably, you can just go after them as much as you want. We don't do anything.
Yeah, and what the left does, right, is they make it so that it seems like, you're ridiculous. But her emails, they make fun of you for wanting justice in the situation and for yelling about it. In the meantime, they actually use power and try to throw people in the clink. So, all the girl wants is perp walks for Christmas.
That's all I want.
I think we need to do that this time. And this time is not like this is the time. This is not about, the past. This is about the future. Are you going to stop these agencies from continuing to rule America or not? And if you want to stop them, we need to see some actual prosecution.
And something that we'll talk about in further episodes, I'm sure, is Tulsi Gabbard DNI. The way that she is using ODNI, nobody's done this before, but this is exactly what needs to be done right now. We'll go through and explain exactly how they're overseeing everything, and they can just tell another intel agency, hey, I want those documents, and they need to turn them over. So the use of this is going to get really interesting going forward.
Yes, because people said, well, it's really just a mailroom, right? It just intercepts all the information, so she won't really have power, which is why establishment Republicans threw a letter in there. But the mistake they made was real. She was put on a watch list. She's pissed off. She wants justice, and she has all the information, and she's putting it out there.
There's so much meat on that bone. We will get to that at a future episode, I promise you, because we can't wait to break down everything. The fight against the deep state is really starting right now. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Just begun.